Welcome to Seizing Valor, where we discover God's path for manhood, one conversation at a time. I'm Zack.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Josh.
Yeah, and here we are, recording for the first time in person together. Oh yeah, sound effects.
We're gonna make everybody sick of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through all these today.
Except me, because my headphones aren't registering them, which might be for the better, actually, in the end. But
no, it definitely is.
Yeah,
Definitely is. But yeah, so this is the studio at my house.
yes.
As you can see from the sign, we are recording.
We are.
See on the camera.
This is so legit.
I know we got AC today.
Yeah.
now, which is
We had to work
amazing.
that out.
We'll talk about that
Yeah,
maybe once we
that'll-
get to the banter.
Yeah, that'll come up.
But in our adventures here on Long Island. But yeah, me and Joe, we are here visiting Josh and all of his legit equipment. I feel like somebody on NPR right now. I mean, not like
you are basically.
I know. It's so legit. I mean, I'm so intimidated and impressed by all of this equipment. And maybe I like too much hearing myself talk in these headphones.
I know it's just buttery. It's buttery vocals.
I've never heard anybody call vocals
buttery.
Buttery?
Oh, this
This
is
is
butter. Nothing but butter pouring out of
Now,
my ears
is
right
it
now.
a voice that's I can't believe it's not butter, or it's good for you butter?
It's margarine.
Unsalted.
It's
Margarine.
It's margarine voice.
It's whipped margarine.
With margarine. Butter substitute voice.
How many I can't believe how many of those do you think exist?
I can't believe it's not.
I can't
still
believe it's
do.
not.
Do the impossible things count?
I have smart balance, which is not good for you. I'm kind of bringing myself over to actual
Right.
legit butter.
Right.
I-
Well, I mean, like the off-brand butter, or like the margarines that they have the play on words. It's like I can't believe it's not butter.
Oh.
Or, would you believe it isn't whatever? I feel like that there's a lot of variety. I saw.
I
Can
remember
you
where
fathom that this is not a dairy product?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah,
All that I
it's an
remember were
off-brand.
the Fabio commercials. I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, the Fabio commercials.
Yeah, very
I don't.
entertaining.
I don't know. I've never seen those. So.
Spoilers, I can believe it's not butter. And I'm sure Paula Dean can too.
Butter.
Yeah.
Get some all.
Claps for you, Fabio.
Oh, Joe. You're reaching across, man.
Wherever you are, Fabio. I was gonna smack you. I had to stop myself.
Don't touch his soundboard. This is like play thing.
Wasted.
I'm
effort.
not even gonna dare from all the way over here. Just gonna
Yeah, no touchy. No touchy.
yeah. So I mean, this is pretty legit too, because on the podcast, if people are watching the video, you can kind of see Josh work a little bit here, because I mean,
Yeah.
most times sound engineers are behind the scenes, and Josh is here with us, kind of with some portable stuff, and he's
Yeah, that's good.
working
Yep.
the board.
Got the board in front of me, so I can mess with things and hit all the sounds and do all I got to do. Can change.
Your vocals, make
Yeah.
it sound ridiculous.
Oh, can we do that now?
With a little bit of attitude.
A little bit do the deep voice like this. Deep. So deep. I'm your father. And the monster. Ooh.
Yeah, so we can. No, we just
Deep
lost all of our
reverb.
viewers. I think.
Just yeah, we did.
Depends
I'm
how
sorry.
you
One of
edit
these
it.
days we'll get to past the. Oh my gosh, we sound so amazing.
Yeah,
Look
so
all
it's
the
good.
stuff we can
It
do.
depends on how you edit it, though.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
That's
leave all of this in.
Because you know that Star Wars,
Who
the
cares?
original, it was saved with the edit.
Was
He
it?
would- Yeah.
Sure.
His wife.
Well,
edit
what's-
all of it out.
Yeah.
'Cause- and change it 15 times after it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
We need better CGI to make us look better. Because
In
I
30
mean,
in
right
30
now the
years, we have,
CGI is doing the trick right now, I think. But
In 30 years, we have dragon wings, and this is how people
This is
are kept
amazing.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
if you could edit me to be
exactly.
even taller in this moment, for those watching, I'm in the short seat right now, so it looks
'Cause
like
you're
I'm
the
about
tallest.
the same height, but it's because Joe was you couldn't see his face
with
under
Zach's
the table.
previous seat, I looked like a
before.
kid at the kids' table.
Yeah, and I looked like Andre the Giant next to him, just
Yeah, I wish we
But-
kept it before. And Joe Tiny in the background.
Do we have
That's
a
okay.
picture? I'm sure we do.
I don't know.
and me getting close to the camera makes me look a little taller. A little Hollywood trick, everybody,
Yeah.
for all those people not
Perspective.
Practical
that's what
effects.
They
That's
did
how
in
you
Lord
do
of the
it.
Rings. They
Yeah.
would do
Yeah.
the
the
forced
hobbits
perspective.
and the learning.
Yeah.
So many close-ups of Gimli's face.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was watching the other day. It's like, yeah, every time he talks, like the camera's literally right on his face.
No, honestly, yeah.
But
Because he's actually, I forget what the.
it's like 6'3" or
he's
something.
huge.
Jonathan Rhys
Yeah.
Davies.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
he's huge.
He's a really big guy. So just to pull that off,
That's
gotta
crazy.
use doubles and all that. But
Yeah, use like little people, like children, to be like the hobbits and everything, and
yeah.
it's crazy. And they got no credit. Oh, they got credit somewhere, but no one. No, yeah, I mean, they're in the
Yeah.
credits somewhere, I'm sure. But
Right. I remember after watching the behind the scenes there, because they made the masks and put them on the Hobbit actors, right? So the people that played the Hobbit in those scenes, they made like masks for them that were supposed to look like the characters.
yeah,
And they were creepy. Like if
Really?
you just saw the masks by this, like they look so scary. It's like the whole like Michael. It's like the Mike
Michael
Myers,
Myers
mask,
like
William
that kind of
Shatner.
feel. It's just creepy.
oh my goodness. Well,
But,
I mean, thank goodness
You can
we don't
actually
fall.
see it a little bit in one of the scenes. So the scene in the Fellowship when they're climbing Koradras, the snowy mountain there.
Yeah,
I have to say it like that in order to please people who pronounce it. In that scene, when Frodo falls in the snow,
yeah.
you can actually see it in the distance because they're in the background. It's kind of unfocused,
Yeah.
but you can see the characters and the fake masks. So next time you watch Fellowship, try to look for that.
Pinpoint that.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, boys. So what are we talking about today? What's the
Ooh,
the gist? Just before we dive into banter.
We are talking about technology and its effect on our brain
On
and
the
on our
brain.
lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just how.
And what are some solutions that we can actually take a step forward in order
to manage in a technological world? How can we step forward responsibly and get the best parts of technology without succumbing to the worst parts?
Exactly, and I guess it's it's better to do that than to just sit here and bash and to do hot takes. It's always good to give a positive solution and like ways that we can be better as a result after showing all of these things that we talk about.
Yeah, so wait for that one sentence at the end. It'll be there.
Yeah, the uplifter.
After we bash for an hour, listen for that one sentence. There'll be
or skip ahead. Like
Yeah.
that YouTube view will count for us. So
yeah.
That's true.
That's not the only reason we want you to listen, though.
Yeah.
Come on, Joe. We're not about numbers here,
Right.
but please listen and tell other people about us. Anyway,
Nice. All right, Jen. So how's everybody's week? We all have good weeks.
I was
you
recovering
remember.
from the Utah trip
Hmm.
from the previous week. I don't remember if anybody watched the episode beforehand, but it was a 1 a.m.
Hope
flight.
some of you did.
Yeah, a 1 a.m. flight, and that was quite a lot to recover from. But overall, it's a pretty low-key week.
It's a red eye, right? They call those red eyes.
The red eyes, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I told you guys this because I think I did edit it out of the episode. It was one of the flights I had a whole row to myself. That never happens.
Ooh.
Wow.
As a tall man, I say I personally love that whenever
Yeah.
that
That's
happens. I try to gobble up those emergency exit seats. I'm so tall.
Yeah, because everything is free and open in front of you.
Yeah, I mean that's the nice part about red eye flights, I guess, is no one wants to really take them. So you can be like, yes, a plane to myself. I am so well off.
So posh, bougie.
I'm so posh in my economy class row in the next to the bathroom in the back.
Yeah.
So
What about?
so that was your whole week. That was just recovering.
It was
from
pretty much recovery. We got to play guitar for worship team. It's been like the 5th week in a row, which has been great. Yeah, going to be spending some time with family coming up in the next week or so. Yeah.
And for everyone listening, I mean, Joe talks about playing guitar for worship a lot, but was listening to him a little bit today while he was jamming out. He sounds amazing. So,
Yeah, he's a great guitarist. So.
yes.
But Josh he's the king bee.
No. For years, we've been talking about doing some music together, Joe. I mean, we've yet to do it. We got to make it happen.
Well, as long as you get like the drum tracks and set, like we can try to cook something up.
Well, that's my alley. I'm good in that world now. So do lay some guitar and bass for me, and I'll do everything else. Make it happen.
I'll be a fan.
All right.
I'll listen. I'll be a groupie.
We'll do like some spoken word, and you can do like this slam poetry
You
over
know,
top.
like
Oh, yeah.
like
I can rap. I got this.
You ever hear like Knights in White Satin? Movie
Yeah,
blues?
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
do that.
Well, stuff like Lou Reed stuff.
I'll be in the music video. That's what I can do. I'll do
There you go.
I'll do weird stuff in your music video for you.
We'll do a song called "Seizing Valor," and then we'll all be in it.
Seize it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's good, Joe. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice
Awesome,
week.
man. So,
Yeah. So my week was pretty chill. I just had a lot of schoolwork this week, and Claire and I are getting back into healthy living. So we've been working out again, which is beautiful. Doing some hard workouts. I'm really sore, and it's a good feeling. But right now I'm taking a class in film scores, which is fan-freaking-tastic because I love music and media. So I've been learning all about the process of, the importance of music and media and film and video games, ads, stuff like that. But then also just how to do it, just how to make it happen. And so the goal of this class is by the end of the month to be able to write music and do sound effects for just a video that is provided for us, like a little trailer. And it's great. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot already, and I'm only in week 2, so I'm super excited about this class.
How long are the classes?
So these they're months. So every class is a month long. Yep. And I've actually really enjoyed it. This past, like, I would say the beginning, like I've talked about before in the past, but the first 2 or 3 months were kind of lame and very easy and simple. But then eventually we started really rolling into stuff, and I've learned an immense amount from this class, and it's been from this going back to school. And so it's just been wonderful, and I'm really enjoying it. And the creative process, like every month I have to make music and write and do all this stuff. And it's just really pushed me to be a better musician, a better producer. And I'm super excited what the future holds. So I'm hoping something can happen with that. But yeah, so that's kind of.
Yeah. And I mean, we were talking about it's amazing. Sorry, there's mosquitoes in here for everyone who's watching. I just saw one.
Mosquitoes everywhere in this house.
I literally just saw one mistake my microphone for someone's arm and was trying to literally stick its face in the microphone.
It means that we're decomposing.
So, I don't think so, because I thought mosquitoes liked people's
Plenty
blood.
of times I've seen flies around all of us, and we're not dead yet.
Yeah, well, it's mosquitoes, not flies. It's different. Come on,
right
man.
and a half, man.
But anyway, we were talking about how music is so important for movies and stuff. It's people maybe don't notice it as much, but it literally is guiding you onto how you should feel about a movie and how you should respond to things.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of subtext in music. Music provides subtext, so it gives you the emotional responses to how you should be feeling per scene, which is amazing. So I was talking about this earlier with Zack, how there was this big study done where they took a horror film. And they had 3 groups of people that they studied. So they had one group that watched the horror film without any sound at all, without any music, without any sound effects. And then they took the same movie and then they put funny music over top of it, comedy music or whatever. And then they put the actual horror music over top of it. And they found that obviously the 3 groups had incredibly different experiences. So the silent group just didn't get it, didn't understand what they were supposed to be watching. They didn't feel too much. Obviously the comedy group thought it was a comedy. They thought it was just this graphic comedy. And then the first group I've experienced immense amount of fear. So just to prove that music has such an intense an important part of filmmaking.
At first I thought you were going with the silent portion, because sometimes that can actually be used in horror quite effectively too, just by the
just silence, right? Because
the difference between diegetic, non-diegetic sound.
Yeah, but it's not weird unless there's sound before that, though. That's the thing. Silence is normal if you start normal, but
right.
if
But if
it's
it cuts
normally
out,
noisy and then it goes silent, then that's supposed to be eerie.
that's
Indication of
eerie.
a jump scare.
Yeah. That's something's happening and you better be ready. Except you're not ever gonna be.
Yeah, and that's just something that I love about music. And again, I was talking with Zack earlier about this. Is when I learned about music theory, it's just incredible to break down music and talk about the progressions and the different ways that you can use ornamentation and notes and all this stuff to trigger an emotional response. Being able to look at a piece of music and know at this point, right here after this chord, the listeners, the audience is going to feel goosebumps. And just knowing that, and just seeing it in the music playing in front of you, it's amazing.
I assume you went through the Jaws soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We did that. Yeah. When we did Lord of the Rings, which is fantastic, Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which I was so
Never
excited.
fails.
Gosh, yeah, and just that sense of grandeur and everything that it elicits. Oh, it's
man.
fantastic.
Howard Shore, incredible.
Mm.
So, yeah. So
You heard it here
dare I
first. We
say-
have the next John Williams sitting with
dare I
us.
say-
Stay
right
tuned.
here, man, right here.
Dare I
That'd be cool.
say a sense of valor?
Looking at the camera.
I assumed that you were gonna put the cricket sound.
Oh, sorry.
Here
I'm lacking. I'll try again. We'll do it again. Sense of.
Dare I say a sense of valor? How about another one? How about another one? Dare I say a sense of valor?
It was the first time.
So many sound effects.
And I have to add some more.
And you see everyone
can
in the
add, like-
audience.
I
This
can
is
add. I can add. It's a tons. Yeah.
this is a demonstration for how important sound is because I can't hear any of the sound effects. And
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of like, I don't know how to respond to what's going on.
Like something is happening.
Something is happening, but I need my musical cues.
Yeah. Well, Zach, how was your week, man? How was your week?
My week's been pretty good. I've been very busy. I've been traveling around a lot.
Okay.
As people know, I've been, applying for jobs and things like that. So I've been traveling around doing stuff for like interviews and things. So I've been volunteering and helping out. I've been just really trying to stay busy because recently I've kind of come to this conclusion that I think, it's a thing a lot of people come to of this idea is like you'll feel more fulfilled when you empty yourself more type of deal. Like the more like you empty yourself out to help other people, the more, you'll, feel filled, so to speak. And like this idea of wanting to take life and start being more, I don't want to say offensive, like in terms of like wanting to go out and do things rather than being idle, I suppose. And so like really interacting with people and helping
You think
people.
the word intentional?
Yeah,
with your
intentional.
interactions?
Yeah, intentional. Like just not sitting around. So I've been helping out. I've talked, I think, here before about helping out with the tennis teams at my old high school, which has been really fun. Like, really to see. I've been a swim coach like most of my life, so to see a different sport and coaching a different sport that I have played and I have a lot of knowledge about, but like I've never coached in it before, and it's really fun. Tennis is also very more active, like when you're helping out because like you're feeding balls and hitting to them and all that stuff, and like. And then like really instructing them. So it's like really fun. And like when you see them improve, it's just like amazing. That happened in swimming a lot, but like, still like, the one day we talked about the idea of like what we call red ball, yellow ball, green ball, which is like when to be defensive, when to be neutral, and when to be offensive, like to attack. And a lot of them just like didn't know like that concept, like that there's like times to attack and times to defend, like instead of just either attacking all the time or defending all the time. And you could tell, like, when we played a game at the end that really required, like, keeping the ball in play, that they were hitting, like, the defensive shots that, like, I showed them and, like, the neutral shots. And there was never a time, really, where they were supposed to be offensive in that game, but, like, that I could see that they took it and that it went in and, like, it just was, it's incredible. Anytime you teach someone something and they, like, grasp it, it's amazing. And I love to see that. And so while I'm still in Danville, I'll be helping out with that, too. But... So what else? Oh, and I'm going to be volunteering for Vacation Bible School this week. This is my first experience being a helper in Vacation Bible School. I've been a participant when I was a wee lad. So this will be interesting. I am going to be a song and dance leader. So this is, I think that the people saw, it's like, oh, that kid's outgoing. They didn't really realize it's like, yeah, maybe he's not the best singer, but I think it's more of a sing along. So I can do that. I can sing. I can sing with a tape and do okay.
Right.
So I think I'm really excited to help out with that. And so I've been moving around and ended the week, all of us, by ending up here. So
how did we get here?
How did we get here?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Wait, where are we? So,
fun fact on the Vacation Bible School 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it might have been 4 years ago actually. They did at my in-laws' parish. They did it, and Celia and I did the music. We did that. So I played guitar and sang, and we sang with all the kiddos. So
awesome.
It's good. Cool thing.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to do that. We have musical accompaniment in terms of music, like music from a speaker. So thankfully for that, but I've been helping out with that, and that's been good. And we also actually did a young adult event the other night too, where we did like a board game night, which was really awesome. There was like 20 or 30 people there. We met some fun people from the Harrisburg area. That was really awesome. Shout out to any of you if you ever end up listening. I don't remember if I mentioned this podcast or not, but we played Cranium. You guys ever play Cranium before? Yeah. So me and my friend, we played Cranium against them, and no offense to you guys if you're listening, but we kind of destroyed them. I'm not gonna lie. So we cleaned up at Cranium.
Oh man.
So, But yeah, anyway, so the week ended. Now we're all here. So our paths have converged. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit now that we've had the same experience for like the past 12 hours.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. So you came last night. We
Yeah.
kind of chilled, nice, and just hung out and spoke for a while and caught up.
Yeah.
And then what, Joe? You came.
Always good.
about
Yeah, I was
lunchtime
at
today.
mini golf with some young adults last night, which was a good time.
Yeah.
Nice.
So many young adults. So if you're listening, they're out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Young
uh,
people do exist. We can
yeah.
attest to that. Yeah.
So then after Joe got here, the party started, right?
Had some Panera for lunch, right?
Yeah.
And then we went to the Home Depot and we put in a little air conditioner. We installed it
Yeah.
and a portable air conditioner in the studio, which I've wanted AC in here since we moved in a year ago. And it just
Were you
never really
always hot
happened.
in this room?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Always.
For anybody,
always.
like Josh was always being like, "Oh, it's too hot."
For
Way
anybody
too hot.
listening, like when Josh and I lived together,
Josh does not like hot.
that the one time the AC broke in
Yeah.
that room, right?
Well, it was the radiator.
The radiator,
The
okay.
radiator broke. The valve on it snapped off, and so
Oh,
it was
so it
on
wouldn't turn
hot.
off.
You just
high.
like kept like
and I
stripping
had,
down.
and my room was tiny, so it literally I just had my bed and like a little desk, and like that was it. And it was so hot in there. I would have to lay. I was like, basically naked, just in my skivvies, laying on top of the covers, just like in agony for like the entire
Just
year.
arms
Like,
spread eagle.
It wasn't the entire
Well, it was for a long time.
Okay.
For a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially like through the winter. Well, I guess it was long.
Didn't
the
you like
heat was
even you
on.
even had like the window open?
Yeah, and at one point I was like, I'm just gonna open the window and I'm gonna curl up like a fetal position around the window and just hope that I can actually sleep. Well, I remember this one time you woke me up. And because we had to talk about something, and I was so embarrassed because I was just like lying there, sweaty in my underpants, and then I just like look over, look back at you, the door open, like.
He probably just like started talking without even a second thought, though. Just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
It was
is,
yeah.
this is
it
normal.
was pitch black then.
Oh,
So,
you
yeah.
probably didn't see.
So yeah.
But
But
I will say it feels pleasant in here now. It really does.
I'm
Like,
so happy. Like
yeah,
so
it
much is
feels
gonna
great.
happen. I'm gonna be in here all the time now, which I'm
Oh.
super excited about.
sorry, Claire.
Yeah, sorry.
Avoid the kids.
Yeah,
And which,
the
by the
kids.
way, we had to like drill holes in your house in order to even make this
That's
happen.
right. That's right. Yeah, we put 2 holes. You can't see. It's just off. It's like right
Off
here.
screen,
It's
yeah.
just off camera.
It's probably better
That
for right
one
now.
white
It is.
cord over
Looks
there.
good, yeah, the one random white cord you see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had to drill holes to the wall, which was good, and it had a little bracket piece so we can put the hoses because it's a portable air conditioner, so it has 2 hoses and needs an exhaust and intake. So yeah, we did that together. That was fun.
Yeah.
Some challenges there, some challenges with it, but
And
But
Eli
we-
helped out
and Eli, yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah,
He was
Eli
providing
helped out.
moral support.
He was taking apart that styrofoam box.
that's oh my gosh, it was snowing in here, styrofoam everywhere.
I
You know, he
literally
always does
don't
that.
know. Like it got
He
into every
literally-
corner of this place.
He will break down styrofoam so that it is completely broken down to the smallest little piece.
and
it
he had a
gets
plastic saw too, right?
Yeah.
he was sawing with.
I
a
don't know,
saw.
Joe. You were helping out a lot with the,
Yeah.
with
I-
the styrofoam
enabled him.
You were enabling,
construction.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
over here trying to.
Oh,
Josh,
you got some.
Yeah, that's. I think we need to go through that. Look at that. And
Yeah.
Joe's just using a pretend like hacksaw to
Oh, no,
like
some
go through like a
styrofoam in the corner.
styrofoam board.
It's already started snowing styrofoam. Let's just get it everywhere. Come on.
I literally half wondered. It's like, is this the first styrofoam like breakdown in here, or did it literally just get everywhere?
Yeah. But
So,
we did it. It's got
we
AC
did it.
in here. It looks good. It felt good.
amazing.
It felt so good to do something like that and a little handiwork. And yeah.
And then we
Good to go.
cooked dinner on a fire, on
That's
an open
right.
fire,
Open
people.
fire. That's the first time we've done it here. So we have a big fire pit that has a grate on it. And so we never thought to do it. And then we were a couple nights ago, we're like, why don't we just do that? Why don't we give it a try? So we did. We did hamburgers and hot dogs over the fire pit.
Yeah,
It's good, man.
it was fantastic.
I know, it was a nice day today.
Yes,
a
it
great
was.
day
It was like
today.
those almost like simple,
Yeah.
like manly things, like, you know, a little bit of hardware, a little bit of fire.
But
It's like
activity,
little
you know,
Home
you're
Depot.
sweating, you got
Yeah.
the smoke and sweat, like
Yeah.
burgers. That's all you
Problem
need, man.
solving.
I
with
will
the-
say that
seltzer.
I will
Yeah.
say that I took my shirt off to put on some bug spray, but that
Oh,
was
okay.
it.
Well, you didn't need to let the audience know that, Joe. Come on, man.
No, they want to know.
They want to know. All right. Well, everybody just envision Joseph without a shirt on. That's
Right now,
there
yeah.
you
Just
go.
just take a second.
Because we're not going to actually do that on the air. Besides, we don't want. We don't want to.
Am I the only one pleased by this
Oh wait,
experience?
hold on.
No.
Oh boy. So gonna have the Kool-Aid Man just like bust through here.
Okay, now is the Kool-Aid Man? Is he the pitcher or is he the juice?
I think it's the pitcher.
Oh, that is a good question.
Right?
Or is like the juice like his life energy or something like that?
Is he
It's
he
his
still
blood,
the
his
Kool-Aid
blood.
Man if he has no Kool-Aid?
Well, yeah. What if you put something else in there?
Yeah.
Is he the orange juice man all of a sudden?
I know, yeah. That's something to think about.
This is crazy.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah. What do you think about the existential crisis of the Kool-Aid
is
man?
the Kool-Aid Man is the juice? Or
He
is
doesn't seem broken up about
And
it though.
That's true. Oh, well, I didn't actually
Okay.
ask him.
All right. Well, Joe, broken up.
I'm the only person who's talking to him apparently.
Yeah. And
These
how
guys-
the heck does he not bust apart when he goes through that wall? What kind of glass is that man made of? Yeah. Just anyway.
Plexi.
Glass bones, paper skin.
All right, good stuff. Shall we shift into our discussion for today?
Yes.
So I have to
think
say,
so.
this is a little bit more off the cuff. We don't have notes in front of us today, so we're going to just be kind of talking through our
When
experiences.
do we ever have notes? But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the time we do have notes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we're going off the cuff, but it's definitely a topic that all of us have thoughts about.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly. And there are sources, so I can put sources and there's some studies and things that we're going to reference and whatever it is. I think it's important for us to start doing that, like having actual
Yeah,
sources.
having
so.
references. But also keep in mind, everybody, that we don't pretend to be experts. We're
Right.
just having a discussion.
Yeah.
And with you as kind of a spectator, I mean, sometimes we're very right and, sometimes we're not right. And, that's okay. But we just talk about our experience.
Yeah, that's why
And,
we
what
invite
we
you.
read, what we see other experts saying, so that's just,
Yeah,
we're here
exactly.
with you.
The commentators. Like,
Yeah.
Give it that way.
That's why
We're
we
not
invite-
talking down to you. We're talking with you.
Exactly. Trying to get the discussion going.
Exactly.
And so, in lieu of that, so what do you guys think about technology use in the human person?
Ooh.
Well, of course, obviously, any person would say that it's good in its small segments.
Moderation, yeah.
What's good and it's bad, right? I mean,
Yeah,
with
it's got its
anything.
upsides. It's a two-edged sword,
Yeah.
There's always an edge pointing out that you can use that's helpful and an edge pointing towards you that definitely can hurt you. And I think as much as, and this is probably for any technology throughout all of time, it always has like an upside and a downside. But I think particularly right now, we've had just a lot of technological innovation in the past like 100 years. Like it's been, and even then in the past 20 to 30 years, it's like been even more. It's like even more accelerated. And it's crazy how much our lives have even changed since the introduction of the smartphone. It's just crazy. And that in a lot of ways, yes, it was good. But then in a lot of ways, it's had adverse side effects that we don't realize until, now or like closer to this time that we're like kind of seeing that there's problems popping up that from, this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely. Yeah. It's interesting that, just talking about just the innovations within the past 100 years. I saw this video once that was talking about like the timeline of humanity, right? So like from ancient civilizations to today, and the industrial revolution, the industrial era is like such a small blip. Like it's just amazing like how much the world has really technologically advanced in this time period, because because life was the same.
Yep.
Like farmers and like families, that's it for forever. And so all of a sudden, just 100 years ago, we're talking thousands of years since Mesopotamia, since whatever.
But it's probably one of the leading factors. I'm just talking from United States. It's probably one of the leading factors is the reason why the North actually did win the Civil War.
it was like, technological development and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
think so.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are totally right. Like the idea is that just for some reason we just had this humongous jump in advancement with that like change that flipped life on its head, at least for the developed world. So like,
Right.
obviously things haven't changed everywhere. Not everywhere in the world is 100% different, or it obviously depends on what kind of country you live in, like what area you live in, and your family, like where you're at really depends. Because for some people in the more underdeveloped world, it might not really look that different. But yeah, our development has come at a cost, though, and especially our rapid development, I think, has come at a cost in a lot of ways, which we're going to go into kind of at this moment. So, who wants to start? Who wants to start with thoughts? Do we want to?
Well, I think we should go into like how it's affect us personally.
Yeah, I think personally is a good
Oh
idea. Yeah.
yes,
Talk about that. I guess I can go first because probably feel the most passionate about this.
go for it, man.
Because I think for me, and again, we were talking about this earlier, like all of this that we were talking about today, Zach and I talked about. Like,
Yeah,
or
we
today,
literally had like a
this
2-hour
discussion.
conversation that we should have
Yeah.
pressed the record button
I know,
on, but
honestly.
Joe also wasn't here,
Yeah,
so
we didn't want to
Yet.
do it without him. But yeah, so this is how I feel is like, especially like smartphone technology. So I'm going to talk more from like the perspective of a smartphone.
So are we doing personals, or are we just doing our own like all thoughts? Like,
So I think just personal,
Okay,
personally,
all
like
right.
how it has affected me, right?
yeah,
So I think in my time, like pre-smartphone, I live my life. I can see how my life is different. My thought process was different. The way that I took in information was different. The way, like, how the length of time that I would, like, my focus was different. My attention was different. I would spend so much time playing the guitar, and like all of this stuff. Like, it was so different. And then after getting the smartphone, when you have apps now, you have internet access. You're able to see all the stuff, everything you want in the blink of an eye. It really drastically changed all of that for me. Like, I think my attention, my focus, my, just hobbies, like it just really took so much of my life, to the point where it was really getting difficult to do other things. Like, I found it difficult to do other things. And we can talk about that more, like through dopamine and all that, how it affects your motivation and your ability to do more difficult things, to the point where, I had a screen time app just a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and it was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
I was spending like 6 hours a day on my phone, which I was completely appalled. I had no idea that I spent that much time on it, and I thought I have to do something about this. Like, this is very unhealthy, and I'm sure I shouldn't be doing this. So then, to the point where I got a dumb phone, and so I've had a dumb phone for about a year, which is crazy, and it was awesome at first. I mean, I think I still have tendencies where I'm leaning towards the same things that I did, just on different devices, but I'm hoping maybe to get that under control. It's not nearly as bad as it was, but it calls you, it pulls you in, and stuff like it's acting upon you, and I think there's something about that. So that's personally like how I've kind of experienced in my own life. I don't know if you guys can relate or.
Yeah. Do you want to go next, and then I'll go?
Yeah. I'll go into my opinion after my own.
We're just talk our
personal take.
experience first.
So I'm actually in the same boat as Josh. When it came to my first smartphone that I got right as I was about to enter college, I was very active with playing the guitar, and I even did my own Beatles cover album the year after that. So it was 2014, I think it was, and I was just gung-ho about that, and I wasn't really knee-deep into my smartphone that much, but with the development of different apps that came out over the past 10 years, and especially a lot more reliance on YouTube, too. YouTube has been my biggest gripe. It's been some of the funniest videos that I've ever seen, but also at the same time, it's been the worst killers, the worst time wasters I've ever experienced ever, and it's just affected my life like so much. Like at the same time as Josh with his 6-hour deal, I'm probably just as much as him, if not more. Not as of recently. I think I've managed it a little bit better, but what I've noticed is that my biggest ones are Instagram or YouTube, and so many kids that I teach are so wrapped up in TikTok, so wrapped up in YouTube, and so wrapped up in Instagram. We are like the last generation of people that like are not like full blown like into narcissism. Yeah. And I think I've been one of those people that suffered from that as well. Like the the enemy is just, it's like he's like a silent killer of like your time, and just trying to like pull you with all this noise from all these different angles, and taking everything from every single periphery. And it all came to a head when I saw this one TikTok video, but it was on Instagram because I don't really have TikTok like for my own personal use, where this girl had a video where she identified as a demon.
Yikes.
And it's just like whether she actually wanted to do that for attention or it was, an actual the enemy like saying something, all these things like over time to her. It's just like it hurt my heart so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll attack it from a few other angles, like kind of similar to you guys. Or like some things that are similar, but then some things that are a little different. But I mean, I definitely know, I've realized, especially in the past maybe 4 or 5 years, that I feel like my attention span's gotten lower, or like I hate it when I find myself like feeling like I need to take out my phone to like check things. Like I literally just checked this 10 minutes ago. Like, why am I doing this? And it's not going to be different. Or it's just like, is there going to be a new YouTube video up? Is there going to be this up? Is there going to be that up? Do I have a new email? Like what? Like even email? Like that's so dumb. It's just like, why do I need this? Like, I feel like before smartphones, I was like a lot more okay with the silence and the in-between time. Like I didn't need to have that stimulation, or like every time there was a free moment, I didn't need this stimulation. Like I didn't need when like people weren't around, or like when I was in an awkward situation. I mean, all of you listening probably can attest to this, and we here can too. It's just anytime you're in an awkward situation, or you're in a space where you need to fill time, or you like feel awkward, you just pull out your phone. You're eating at a restaurant by yourself, you pull out your phone. Like, did you like the people did that before there were phones? Like, well, maybe they read newspapers and stuff, but you know what I mean. Like this idea is that hiding behind the phone. And I feel like when I first got a smartphone, it wasn't as bad, but like it definitely got worse, like as things went on. But like a few other things, I feel like one of the negative effects of technology I feel like I've experienced is a little in like my physicalness of like having troubles, like whether that's like with neck or with shoulders sometimes, of just having to be bent and hunched over all the time. I mean, I've felt those physical effects that you don't realize how much long you're holding those positions. And the fact that your head weighs like 60 pounds, like when you bend it over like this far, like if you reach like a certain angle, like it weighs 60 pounds to your neck, which is crazy, and your body's not meant to do that.
Yeah.
So that negatively affects you there. And I think I also started seeing it a little bit more, like in my relationships with other people. Like I was being negatively impacted by the combination, I think, of social media and smartphone technology, which I think that was a terrible thing that came at the same time.
Right. Yeah, big time.
That both like in my romantic relationships or my pursuit of romantic relationships, it's like when you have so much stimulations and like pictures and like media and all this stuff like in your face, like Facebook, Instagram, like it's hard. Not like you have come in with the sincerest intentions, but then when you look back, sometimes you're like, wow, I was really like objectifying people, or like I was objectifying stuff, and like I wasn't really looking deep. Because the thing is with social media, for everyone listening, like social media and like pictures and like videos and all this stuff, it doesn't really show you a whole person. It shows you a part of a person, a tailored part of a person from a specific period of time. It's not the real person. It's just a piece of them. And like, so that made it hard. I mean, not just with, just like romantically, but like also with like friends and people. Like there's the level of using it as an excuse to not socialize with people. It's like, oh, I have like 1,000 friends on Facebook. Like, I know we all sound dated here if I'm like talking about Facebook, but because it's not really Facebook anymore. But like it's an excuse not to hang out with people or something like that. And then also the idea, even in the dating pool, is the idea of having the media at your hands and all these ways of meeting people online. Like now, not just on the computer, but on your hand. It's like you think you have more options than you do, like type of thing. It's like, oh, I could have any woman in the world or any man in the world if you're a woman. And that's not really always true, but like the thought of it in your brain says like, oh, so like if something's going wrong in your romantic relationship, like we talked about in the one video, you're like, oh, there's like plenty of other options out there. I'm just going to not work on this. I'm just going to go find something else, because you think there's like a billion options because, technology's at your fingertips. And, maybe that was a little bit of a tangent, but those are some of my thoughts about technology.
No, I think there's something to that, because that all that has such an incredible effect. But I want to go back to that topic of attention. Like I think attention and has really impacted a lot of people as a result from using our phones and social media especially. And so I actually last year or 2 years ago I read a book called Into the Shallows. And I forget who the author is, but I'll put it down below. And what it was this guy who he assisted in creating the first computers, and he like the more common ones that were just in people's homes, right? And so he talked about the effect of technology use like on the brain, and he found that like exactly that, like our attention span has dropped like a lot, like an exorbitant amount. And he said to the point now where like people have such a difficult time just even looking at like an article online. Like nowadays it's just everyone just reads the headlines, and then that's it.
Yeah,
and then when you click on the headline, like you can't focus enough to read the whole article. And so even going to like a book, right? Just going to like a big book, like it's so hard for us to do now, because it just has changed our brains to the point, because of the neuroplasticity, where it just affects every time that we look at something and look away, look at something and look away, look at something and look away. Our brain, gets into that routine and the habit of that, to where that's how we process information. It's just like an immediate look and then moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And that affects our ability to process and our memory and all of that stuff. So I think there's definitely something to that. There's something to that.
Oh, I mean, I think I can definitely personally attest to it. I am so guilty of that, of like going through an article and only reading the stuff the stuff in bold, or reading only up to a certain point and not finishing it,
or just scrolling to the comments because they're short. Like
just like only reading what I want to see, or like even sometimes like scrolling through like Google headlines or like YouTube videos, but not actually watching the videos, just seeing what the headlines or what the
because that's ultimately what the misleading parts are.
Yeah, and that's like you think that's news or like whatever, or like I don't know. It's that idea that we just can't focus, and
and I think that's a problem. Like I really do. I think about how many books that I read before having a smartphone. I would read constantly. I've read so many books before, and then after, like I can probably count on both hands like how many books I've read in the past like I don't know, 10 years. Like it's bad. Like
same.
Honestly.
No, totally.
And I think a lot of us listening and can agree with that. But so it's crazy.
Yeah, and the attention spans, and we're not here saying that everybody who has like an attention thing going on, like that somehow like ADD and ADHD, for example, are like all because of smartphones or technology. Like obviously there's stuff with that, but I mean I think some people just in general, and our society in general, are having a hard time paying attention and focusing for long periods of time is true. And then like we tout that as multitasking, like in the workforce, and when in reality like we're not doing anything well, we're just doing a lot of things.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then diving into the social media world, like Joe, do you have anything you want to add on this topic of like attention span and all that? If not,
well, not exactly attention span, but the need for attention.
Oh yeah, that's another
that's what I meant about the
yeah.
girl. Possibly, if the girl is actually watching this right now, it could be for attention, but I think it's a point of serious help that they do need. Because any person that like requires attention does require like some semblance of help, not like, not like in a serious sense, not always.
Well, anybody who's crying for attention is just crying to be loved.
Yes.
That's like the thing. I mean, but they're trying to get it by any means necessary, and not by. And people are confusing the heart button on Instagram for actual love. Yeah, which is not. I don't think it's a coincidence that they shaped the button like that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, instead of a thumbs up.
Right. And I think people are starting to wake up to like how hollow this stuff is, because we put so much into that, and then you just feel so empty afterwards. Like you still feel like there's no one here, around you because no one is. Like,
well, the thing is, you have. I'll go from the female point of view the female, like me looking at it, because you have so many people, so many women dressing up in very promiscuous outfits too. And then also from the guy's perspective too, you have these guys like doing TikTok dances. If you saw a guy doing that 20 years ago, and that was something you saw like in homeroom or something like that, they would be ostracized for the whole entire year. Right. Now that is blatantly accepted.
Yeah, no, it is.
Could you imagine, like I did that or something like that, and then like my future wife like saw that or something like that. Hey, honey, I'm gonna film like some TikTok dances with a few guys or something like that. It's just it just cries like desperation for something.
Well, once again, as we talked about, it's this desire to be loved. We keep looking for in the wrong places. Like, I don't think it's wrong to desire to be loved. For anyone listening, it's not wrong to desire to be loved, but where you're looking for it might not be in the right place. I mean, ultimately, we're all looking to be loved by God, number one. You may not realize it, but that's what we're all looking for. But we also want affirmation and love from the people around us. And I think one of the things I don't like about social media in that aspect is, especially from like early social media has become so less this might sound weird for me to say, but intimate. It's less personal. Like, you used to be on Facebook, and it used to be you had friends. Like, you had friends.
Would just chat with those friends alone. Like, you would just like pull up their bubble and you would talk to them and just have a discussion with them.
Yeah, and if you had a serious, like if you took it seriously, you just only had the people that you were friends with in real life. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have followers. No. Like, now it's all, your social media is all about making your own
an influencer.
Brand. Yeah, you're a thing. Yeah. The thing is, like, the thing I hate about Instagram is it turns products. It's trying to turn products into people and people into products.
Yeah.
So that now, like, once again, the way I follow, like, I don't want to incriminate. Like, we'll just say X company, like on Instagram. versus the way, you follow John Smith is exactly the same way. Like back on Facebook, even at least, there used to be two different types of things. It's like there was professional things and there was stuff and there was people. Now stuff and people are the same exact thing.
Wow.
And Instagram is being used a lot for marketing now by businesses. And then so it becomes the same thing for you. You're marketing yourself but you're not trying to get income. You're trying to get likes.
Yeah. And that makes you into your own idol.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's that line, right? Like anything that's free to use, you're the product, right? You're the product. And that's so true. I mean, wow, I never thought of that because like Facebook we used to have like the Facebook business, so it would have like business like sections. But yeah, Instagram doesn't have like a business section. Like everyone is just all there.
Yeah. Or you liked stuff. Like you had like your list of like things you like. Like I like cookies and cream ice cream, and that has a page for some reason.
Yeah.
So like
I remember that. Because
Right,
I got rid of my Facebook, so I don't know like how much
yeah,
it's
I did
changed.
too.
Yeah,
so
I
I
don't.
haven't
Yeah, I
seen it
don't know.
either,
But that's the way it like used to be, and it used to be. I think it used to be a good. Now, there was some stuff that was still questionable about it, no doubt. But like, that was at least more semi-acceptable. I feel like now than what we're at. Once
Right.
again, this idea is that, and there's not as much barrier. Oh, this is the other thing I don't like about social media these days. I'm sorry, I'm going into a rant, everyone, but here we go. So back in the days of Facebook, it took a mutual exchange in order to have a connection with someone. You had to send a friend request, they had to accept it, and you then were connected. Now on these days, you can follow anybody without their permission. Even on Instagram, you can follow somebody without them accepting you because once again, everything's treated the same. A celebrity, a regular person, a business, they're all the same. And so celebrities and businesses don't want to have to go sort through all these things to accept people. But, and you can't, but like as a person, so now you're treated the same. Yes, you can have them unfollow or ban, like blocked from your profile, but that's just so many extra steps in order to do versus just pressing the reject button. And the other thing too is you can message people that you're not connected with.
Right.
Like you don't have to follow somebody to message them. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That all these celebrities now, like, you used to get hate mail, for example. And like now, like all these celebrities, like you can just direct message them and say how much you hate their guts. And there's no wonder that all of these like young celebrities these days are like professional athletes that are young or like movie stars that are young that have so many mental health problems because like everyone can just get right at them. And that's terrible. Like, I don't know. Now, once again, I'm sorry. I'm going off on a rant now. This idea is that once again, it's less personal because you don't have friends, you have followers, but you need to have even in real life, we need to have a mutual exchange to be friends. But for you to follow me, we don't need that.
But doing it at such a young age, you make it personal because what else do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a part of your development, right? So that's why I'm such a huge person. Like my kids are not having smartphones. Like they may have a dumb phone later, but like they're not having smartphones because I think
You hear that? All kids, you're listening in the future. Not happening.
no, because of how horrible, like it just messes with everyone's development. When you develop with this stuff, it becomes a part of you and you lean into it and all this for young people. And then all of a sudden their identity, their purpose, their love, their value, all of it they seek from this one device when it's not real. It's not, it's virtual. And sure, maybe the people on the other side of the phones are real, but like it's not in real life. And so that just has like such an incredible impact on them. I mean, how many studies have come out the past couple of years saying like how negatively this affects people and young people, especially young girls. Like it's atrocious.
And we fell for it because we were the first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I feel like things have changed.
Yeah, once again, it's only gotten kind of like I was saying, it's only gotten worse because it's like they don't care. They just want to touch more people. Like that's they want to get to more people. They don't care.
And it's so interesting because when we were kids, like there was such a huge movement about cyberbullying. Like that's all. I feel like when we were kids, like that's all they talked about was like,
you had Dare, and then you had cyberbullying.
Well, like the cyberbullying, like you got to deal with this, you got to take care of it, like, we got to do something about it. And now it's rampant. It's rampant. And of course, who can legislate? You can't really legislate it, but like, I don't know. It's just tough. It's like it's interesting.
Yeah, and the fact also too, they touted online safety so much when we were kids, and now I feel like people don't don't care as much. Once again, like on Facebook, that was a safety thing, friend, like boom, like but you can follow anybody on Instagram. You can literally find anything on Instagram like in a second, like, and it's crazy. Like I would be scared if I had kids, and if for the day I had kids, is that in this thing, the world is beyond this. Yeah. Like that is terrifying because like you don't want the entire world like coming upon your children like at a young age. I mean, you don't want to shelter them like completely, but at the same time, you don't want them exposed to like everything the world has to offer at a young age, and that's crazy. I mean, you see it in young kids, like how much they know that you really think that they shouldn't, like, and that's crazy. And I don't know. It's just, it's insane. And I wouldn't want, and I mean, I felt that exposure at times of just like, you see things are at your fingertips, or knowing even just the news and like what's happening in the world. Like, and it's right there. And it's like, this is how
And literally
terrible
everything that's happening in every part of the world. Like,
that doesn't even really have to necessarily do with us.
And I feel like that really makes you it just turns everyone into a cynic when they are constantly seeing everything that's horrible and everywhere, like constantly, you know. It's just, that's a different topic, but.
And I mean, like, I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room here, but like everything is now so easy to access, like everything, and like the biggest thing is porn.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
I mean,
big time.
literally, like,
Yeah.
it's not going to the magazine store behind your parents' back anymore. It's literally like you just put a word into Google,
Yeah, 3 letters away and you're in it.
and there you go. You press enter, boom.
Yeah.
But
And
not
that's
but
it.
not even like searching up the word porn. It's on Instagram. It's probably on YouTube
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like all those promiscuous images of women and men,
Yeah,
because
it's just,
that's what they want to showcase themselves as.
and it's ridiculous. I mean, because like now it just takes so much more willpower to resist that type of stuff now. Like
Yeah.
before, the more steps it takes, the easier it is to like fight
Yeah,
against
like
something.
I'm gonna say, like before, it took work to get it, and nowadays it takes work to not have it. Like it takes work to like not see it and be
Yeah.
exposed to it. So I think, you know, this, for me as a dad, like I'm horrified of that. So that's why I'm like so adamant that they're not gonna have phones,
Exactly.
because I you know,
And it's always not on purpose either.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
happens. As Joe was saying, like it just happens. It's there sometimes, and then all of a sudden the slippery slope is there, and
Yeah,
it's crazy, especially when it's once again right at your fingertips. And right now, I mean, our generation and the generation after us is having enough problems with lust as it is, that, and this makes it only
Right.
worse.
And this whole, I mean, this is another topic that I would like for us to talk about one day. So I think that would, you know, I don't want to dive too much into this topic, but
Yeah.
you know, there's been so many studies on the effect of pornography and on the brain, and it is horrible again
Yeah.
for us. So you know, and I want to dive more into that at a different
Yeah.
time. But so we just have to, again,
Yeah.
another strike against technology, right?
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll have some stuff at the end. Don't worry. But just
Yeah.
we got to get out of the stuff we know is like not great first. But
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
get to the good stuff. Don't worry about it. So what?
All right, so we've been ranting a lot, so maybe we should reel this back in and
Talk about solutions. Well,
Oh
one-
wait, I have one more thing I want to talk about though, and we
Okay,
talked about
sure.
it today. Is that this
Oh,
idea?
the stress or whatever.
Yeah, the stress. So this idea, I was listening to a video the other day by Father Mike Schmitz that was talking about how to deal with stress. So right now in our culture, stress is very demonized. You know, it's like the worst, avoided at all costs. Like it is terrible. It's discomfort. And as we've talked about in the podcast before, discomfort is the enemy of our culture, but discomfort is also the enemy of a lot of things like progress, holiness, like all this stuff. So comfort is the enemy of holiness and progress and everything like that. So there was a study done, and let me clarify. There's 2 types of stress in the world. There's eustress and distress. All of us think of distress. Distress is when there is some sort of threat and it causes us to like freeze up, or like hide, or like, you know, get away from it, like avoid it. So that's what makes you feel like your chest is pounding really hard. It feels antagonistic. Like, you know, that's what we call anxiety these days. That's anxiety.
Yeah.
Whereas then there's eustress, which is good stress. It's what causes your body to want to fight or to proceed or to act. Like, you know, it's the acting stress. So that's like nervousness before sports and stuff like that. That's eustress.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, that's eustress. You could see that as adrenaline. Like, so this idea, it's the same thing. It's the same chemicals. It's the same reaction by your body. It's just the way that your mind is seeing it and the way you react like as a whole person. So this idea that there was a study done at one of the big universities. I don't want to misquote it, but like one of the big universities, and they put a single-celled organism in an environment that had only good things for it, like all it needed for homeostasis, which is like to survive and to grow and to like thrive or whatever. And they took out all threats of any kind. It died. Like all the test subjects died. They put it in then a different environment in which there were stressors, and it thrived. Like it grew. Like that was the thing, is that we as humans are like that. We need stress to grow. We need stress to become better. We need stress to live. The way Father Mike put it is that to live is to be stressed. You can't avoid it. Like, that's the thing. You cannot avoid stress in this world. You are going to be stressed. Just like there was another article I read that said, as a person, you are going to have to carry a cross. Like, you don't have to be a Christian to carry a cross. You are going to carry a cross in this life. There's no getting away from it. The difference in both circumstances is how you respond to these things. So how you respond to carrying your cross, how you respond to stress. And that's talking about the distress, eustress. So he said, when you start seeing something as a threat or something that's an obstacle, don't see it as threatening. Don't see it as something to shrink away from or to hide or to wait until it goes away. See it as a challenge to be overcome. And that will trick your mind and therefore trick your body into using eustress, or in order to see it once again, if it's something to overcome, your body will start using that adrenaline to start figuring out a solution to get past it. And the problem is, a lot of our culture today hides from stress. Like, you back away from stress. And the smartphone is one of the biggest culprits of that. People hide behind a very small screen, but they do. And it just, once again, we talked about anytime you're in a social situation where you feel weird or you're alone or you're like, you just hide behind a phone. That's all you do. And you're running in hiding. I don't care like what else you think, you're running and hiding. That's what you're doing. But the problem is, just like that single-celled organism, the more you avoid, the weaker you become. Like, the more you avoid the stress, the less you can deal with it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really scary and hard at first, but the more you challenge the stress and you focus on like, okay, this is something I can get through. Not like in your entire life. It's like, I have to overcome my entire problem with anxiety right now. It's like, no, just focus on like, I am going to, if I'm sitting in this group of friends, I am not going to take my phone out, like just even if it's for 30 minutes, and then that's it. There you go. There's a challenge to be overcome. That's all you're going to do. You don't have to worry about anything past that. You just do that. And then like, you slowly are conditioning your body to be able to overcome things. And like, but you can't get that if you keep hiding or you keep running. Like, you're not going to get stronger. It's like lifting. You can't just sit there and hope you get stronger. You have to go through some pain and some discomfort in order to get physically strong.
Just do light work or whatever. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So I think that's partly why first of all, I'm no psychologist, people. I'm not claiming anything. I'm no psychologist. I'm no research person or anything. But I do think that's why anxiety is a little bit on the rise, because I think people have been using things like smartphones and social media to hide from their stress, but the more that they hide and avoid the stress, the worse it becomes, and it turns into anxiety because you don't know how to deal with it. But the more you do it, the more you learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like that analogy of like a moth or a butterfly, right?
Yeah.
So like, when it's in the cocoon, if you try to help it as it's coming out, like, it dies because it needs the strength. It needs to develop through the suffering of trying to break out in order to fly away. And that's exactly what it is for our lives too. We need to encounter these things to become stronger, to know how to respond to these circumstances again when we're struck with them. Like, stress is something that is unavoidable. Everyone has it. Everyone deals with it, and it's there for our brains to overcome, our bodies to overcome, our faith to overcome it, right? And so we just have to lean into these moments and to say that it's okay to have negative emotions. It's okay to like go through difficulties and struggles and stress and anxiety and depression, because we're going to come out on the other side a better, stronger human being because of it. So
I'm going to say two words that is a total non sequitur, but it does make sense. Solitary confinement. So solitary confinement back in medieval times was one of the, and even right now, like when people are granted that punishment, it's one of the most inhumane things, because one of the reasons actually why people retreat to smartphones is obviously boredom, of course stress too. But when people were in solitary confinement in prisons, they would have much rather, like, they were debating this in their head, they would have much rather like tortured themselves or like cut off their own hand than suffered boredom, because it was so much more interesting than the punishment of just looking at a wall, you know? Now, one thing that I would recommend, like not taking out a phone like for 30 minutes or something like that, don't just take away something, replace.
Oh, yes. Very good advice.
Don't just take away, replace. And what I mean by that is like play guitar, like when you're in, like something that fills you up with joy, because those things are out there. You have those talents. You have those God-given talents. they're out there. Like if you honestly, hand to heart, can't figure out what it is, just experiment.
Yeah.
That's the joy in it.
Try different things. Yeah.
And when in doubt, pray. If you have extra time, pray. We're not saying like don't fill that time you're giving up, because there is that parable, guys, about like the demon that's cast out, but then it like travels everywhere. But when it comes back to the house and it sees that it's not occupied again, like it comes like it comes back. That it was, I don't remember what gospel it's in, but like Jesus talks about there's like
But they
the
were sent
demons
into
it's sent away. And then like it comes back, but upon seeing that that the house it was cast out of in the parable, that it's unoccupied, that it actually comes back but brings more with it,
them.
which is supposed to be symbolic, obviously. Like it's supposed to be symbolic of that fact. If like we get rid of a sin, a personal bad habit, but we don't replace it with a good habit, then it's just going to get worse, or we're going to replace it with another bad habit. Like, does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I'm not talking literally here, everyone. Well, I mean like symbolically, like I'm talking about sin essentially. So like if you cast one thing out, like if you don't replace it with a virtue, then it's gonna stay.
Right, and I'd say in line with this, like if say like maybe you looking at your technology use and you want to maybe cut back a little bit. Obviously, try these things, but I would say too, like keep at it, because what you'll find is that it's harder to do things now. Like it's harder to like fill that in. So say you want to like do exercise, right? Well, doing the exercise is harder than just looking at your phone, right? Or just scrolling through things because of that, of what it has done to your brain and the dopamine triggers and all of this stuff. So just keep at it, keep trying, put a little bit more in, even if it's just baby steps, right? So just do baby steps. Just take 5 minutes away from your phone, put it away. Maybe don't wake up with it or whatever it is, and try to fill it up with something else. Something that is good for you, that is engaging, that is prayer or whatever it is, and just know it's gonna be hard at first, but the more you do it, the more your brain will adjust, and you can get a new routine and habit going.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, everything doesn't need to be cold turkey either. I mean, that's usually not a bad, not a good idea for anybody trying to ditch any bad habit. Even if you want to do, for example, like do you do the screen time app or limit your screen time? Like if you're normally doing 4 hours a day, set the limit to 3 for a few weeks, and then 2, and then 1, and then so like try to like get yourself down slowly but surely, instead of trying to go for that instant gratification, like right now, got to get it out of here, like type of thing. For some people that works. So like if that works for you as a person, go for it. But like if you're a person that might struggle, it might be better to wean yourself off instead. But so, I mean, like technology is, that's the thing. It's not, before I come back to that. But the idea is, yes, things are hard, but you also have to remember that Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me, not pick up your cross and wait till it goes away and then follow me. Like he said, pick up your cross and follow me. So it's going to be hard, and this is not meant to be a downer thing. But even as Joe said, it's like, we can't do what God wants from inside a padded cell. You can't like, that sounds, for some people that sounds safe, but in reality it's torture. Like that's what Joe is saying. Like some people say that sounds great because there's nothing dangerous in there, but you can't live life. You can't be a person. You can't be with people. You can't get the greatest things in life from complete and total safety. And and the idea is you can't be using stuff like technology to pad your life too much. You have to experience some of this thing. I feel like this talk has turned into something completely different because now we're talking about the idea of accepting risk.
Well, it is a risk at this point, especially if you've been, knee deep in social media.
And I know it sounds corny. It sounds like everyone always says that. But remember that people lived before this stuff existed. Right. And does that mean that we want technology or like?
And they were happier. Actually, they were happier
in some ways. Yes, I'm sure there were a few ways those people were still not happy. But like, this idea is, well, maybe we should end maybe a little bit if we're getting towards the end here. Maybe so it doesn't.
We should go close up to the camera right now and like.
No, that is not what I was thinking at all.
Do you want to be?
We should maybe talk. Okay, here he goes. Here he goes. Okay, but while Joe's meandering, I will. Come on, go for it, Joe. Get up and close and personal with the technology. You tell him who's boss. You are so blown out right now. You can't hear you.
Do you want to be happy? That's what he said.
Yeah, and he's so blown out right now. The lighting's amazing, just not from that close.
I'm gonna put my voice over your mouth.
There we go. But for everyone maybe on our way out, we talked about some ways to. Well, let's talk about if we have any more ways to, help us with technology in terms of, putting it in its proper place in our lives. And then after that, maybe let's talk about like one or two things we think are beneficial about technology in our world, so we don't end up sounding like a bunch of
obviously. I think
naysayers.
that's we can probably go quickly with this part, but I think with medical, the world of medical medicine and all that stuff, obviously there's been incredible advances that have saved lives, and I think obviously that's incredible and necessary thing. And then obviously technology, science, like all that stuff. Like I mean, in the sense of like making. Yeah, I don't know. That's again, obviously, but within science and medicine.
Yeah, Joe, technology.
Well, for one thing that I get out of it is there's incredible music tutorials, and even for something such as
for hobbies.
One of the sites that like I've at least dabbled in free trials is Skillshare.
Yeah, that's good. Knowledge.
Knowledge sharing is way up.
Yeah, that's why people nowadays say like, why do you even go to college? You can just Google
you
everything. Everything's
YouTube
online.
everything.
We should that should be another topic. Is
I did this.
The fallacy of
we did the air conditioner today, and it was
we didn't even look at Google.
I did a couple days ago.
That should be another topic.
I did it. Like
that should be
we
another.
saw awesome videos for circular saws, or what is those called? Like hole saws that could cut through steel. Black steel, the best steel, the hardest steel, I guess. I don't know.
That should be another topic of the fallacy of college, because now you can actually. But anywho, we'll talk about that another time. But another thing that like.
We're branching. This episode is going to branch off. We have so many episodes.
The multiverse.
I mean, they listened to us one time. That one time it was just me and Joe. We had like 3 or 4 topics that just spewed out of nowhere. So we brainstorm on the job.
Another thing that's actually good, especially for young kids too, like just for inspirational content. You got those entrepreneurs. Some are just like wrapped up in themselves, but some are actually, good, helpful young advice for young men and young women in some cases maybe. But at the same time, like on the opposite trend, you have this subscribe to my brand. The rise and grind mentality, which people are waking up to.
We can argue too, people's livelihoods are online now too, right? People's jobs and all that stuff because of the technology of remote this and that. So.
Yeah, but as you were saying, like knowledge sharing is a huge one. Like knowledge sharing is like, that was kind of the purpose of the internet, people. The purpose of the internet was not for you to post on Twitter or tweet or whatever.
Well, I want to say the very first computer was just a calculator, right? It just ran numbers.
Yeah,
like,
it was
that
just
the idea. That's why they were invented, was to like run numbers for a space program or something like that.
And the internet was like a military thing to share information? Like that literally is what it was. And now this is what it's turned into. I remember there was like a skit on like the Jimmy Kimmel show or whatever on like the anniversary of the day the Back to the Future they were supposed to come to in 15? And they talk about they were so marveled at the smartphone. It's like, you must be doing amazing scientific stuff on this. It's like, no, we mostly use it to watch cat videos. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the knowledge sharing is huge. And the learning curve has kind of gone down a little bit. Though, once again, you could argue that, there's a little bit more stratification because now you need Wi-Fi as like an essential thing. And that's like just another barrier to entry. But once again, we're not trying to be naysayers right now. But I would say in its limited capacity, I would say the ability to communicate and socialize with people virtually was beneficial during the pandemic. Like it was for that limited time. I think it was beneficial to be able to Zoom or to, be able to connect with people on certain social media platforms when it was for connecting with the people you already know and love. Right. I think that was super beneficial. Or for people who live like across the world from each other, across the country, I think that ability is much better. And to be able to see their face and to interact with them that way, I think that is fantastic. When once again used in its proper ways, like at the proper time. I think that is great. So I think that in and of itself is great. But as most things in our mortal world, if everything can be misused, if you use it too much or in the wrong reasons or for the wrong reasons at the wrong times. But yeah, so and one last thing, guys, thanks to technology, we are here. We are talking to everybody, so we can't hate it too much because you guys are listening to us because of technology, because of technology, normal people like us can reach you through podcasts. And I also think too, there's a little bit of a help that it's given to the evangelization efforts. I mean, they've been able to connect to so many people online. I mean, like the people, like once again, like a Father Mike Schmitz or Jason Everett or or Father Barron or Bishop Barron now. That all of those people can reach more people through the internet now. So, but and we can even get our message out there thanks to technology. So thank you, technology, or that part of technology, and the nice fancy things that we have here that Josh is making us sound awesome with.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. Just like anything in life, technology isn't bad, but it is if it's not used in moderation.
Yeah, the
So.
responsibility is on you guys to, know what is not healthy in your life and what you do have to cut back on. Like I said, don't just take away, replace. And what is one thing that is sure proven to be the best replacement is to pray and say to God, like, what's your purpose for all this?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do now with this addiction that I had before?
And remember, God has to, he talks in silence. So if your eyes and your ears are constantly stimulated, God's not gonna be able to talk to you.
Right.
So
Get the noise out.
Yeah. So make sure for the people around you and the big guy upstairs, make sure you give him your attention a little bit. Also, as Joe was saying, use the gifts that he gave you. Like, be active with those and.
Just take care of yourself, man. Just take
Yeah.
care of yourself.
And one other thing, like if you see you're having a problem and maybe a friend's having a problem, always a good thing when you're trying to form a new good habit. Do it together. Be accountable with each other. Yeah, that's always a good idea. It's like, even if it's something like, hey, we're best friends, let's decide to meet up like once every week, 2 weeks, or something like that, instead of like constantly texting or something like that.
Yeah.
So that can always help.
It doesn't have to be that mentor that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Could be a peer.
All of our, yeah, it could be a peer, could be anybody. So all of our random thoughts. Oh, that's another thing I think that was beneficial. Telehealth is, I think, amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That's
for the mental health, like
Right.
being able to do that from anywhere, I think that has been fantastic as well. So for anyone listening, I do think that like teletherapy has been like a really big, important thing.
I think really it's just news and like time wasters like social media is the culprit of all these things, like the issues and problems for their brains.
Where there's an
and,
agenda
Yeah.
by
addictions.
evil
Yeah.
corporations.
Well, yeah, greed and
yeah.
all that stuff. That's
And just
all been
anything
done
that
before.
make you guys look at yourselves not like the child of God you are, which makes us sad because we want you to look at yourselves that way, that you are a child of God and you are loved. You don't need to be loved by the world. You just need to be loved by Him. Oh, that's one of my other things about social media is I feel like it like literally is the world is looking at you, and Jesus said to that the world is in many ways the enemy, and I think that's what he was talking about. Not the people in the world, but like that personification of like general. World. Anyway,
Yeah, one single person is smart, but everybody together it's worse off.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. In terms of anyway,
all right, guys.
we're going on
It's
and
a long
on and on. So anyway, I'm sorry that kind of ruined my last statement, but yes, please look at the child of God that you are, and you are amazing, and you are awesome. You are loved,
and we love you if no one loves you.
Exactly.
So just know that.
And after you're done, maybe the reason we're making you listen to our really long podcast is to help work on that attention span.
Which none of you
We
made it this far.
Speaking of which, okay, so what we want you all to do right now is subscribe to us on YouTube. It's at Seizing Valor. What we also do is YouTube Shorts to help you with that little itty-bitty attention span that has been plagued by technology. But we do our regular podcast episodes on here and also on Spotify. Check us out on Instagram, too, for additional content. Again, to help out with that attention span of sorts. But what we want you also to do is like or comment on the videos that we present to you, because it would help us out in the algorithm. If you guys do have more personal comments or ones that require a lot more of a larger dialogue, please email us at seizingvalor@gmail.com. seizingvalor@gmail.com.
And one little comment, guys, is yes, we are on social media as a podcast. But the purpose of what we put on social media is to bring you here. It's not to keep you on social media. So we don't want you like harping over our account, like waiting for us to post new content all the time. That's not our purpose. Like we just want to bring you here to listen to us. Like that's all we want. Like we don't want to be captivating your brains on Instagram forever. We just want you to know, hey, boom, here's what we have to say, and like here come
just reflecting
listen
your
with
own
us.
life, and
Yeah.
we're all trying to get to heaven, and we want you to do that too, and we think this is how we do that, is through these discussions, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So use that as a sign to come here, not as a sign to stay on there. And yeah. So anyway, it's supposed to be just a director and not a destination. Yeah. So anyway, Josh, I think you should pray us out today.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I'll do it. Yes, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Heavenly Father, Thank you for the blessings that you've given us. I just pray you continue to be with us in this moment. Let us understand the importance of this discussion that we just had, and for all listeners at home to be able to look into their own lives and to see how technology use has maybe poisoned them in some ways. Maybe it's affected their ability to think and to process, or to hold attention and focus, or maybe they've fallen into the traps as many of us had with things like pornography and objectification and bullying and all of the negative kind of things that have been wrought because of this. But Lord, I just pray that you convict us, that you put all of these issues within our hearts and a desire to be better for you, and to ultimately fill that void and that gap within us, within our heart, within our soul, with you, because you're the only thing that can truly satisfy us, right? It's Psalm 42. As deer pants for water, Lord, our soul yearns for you. And so give us the strength, give us the courage to do what we have to do. And if we need to do things tough, if we need to cut things cold turkey, Lord, just give us the strength and encourage us to do so. If we got to get rid of our phones, just smash it. Let us smash it, man.
That's good.
Hit a hammer, destroy it. Let's destroy it if it's causing us to sin, right? So, yeah. We love you, Lord. In the most precious and holy name, we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thank you guys for checking in, listening, watching, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. Send us out with some sound effects, Josh. What do we got? And there we go. We'll see you all
Next week.
Oh, yeah.